Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today we just got an hour-long presentation for the High Republic, which is starting tomorrow, I believe, with the dropping of Light of the Jedi, the Charles Soule book, which will be like the kickoff point for this whole event. We're going to get into it, but largely this 1 hour thing was very similar to the initial reveal video. If you remember that, it was essentially talking about all the different authors who are involved and the things that inspired them, and talking a little bit about the stories that they're writing. They did reveal a pretty good handful of new things that we did not know about yet. So we're going to go ahead and go through those to see what they have. Also, there's this little launch trailer here. You can watch that. It's pretty fun. So they have a couple of new characters here. This is this is a guy who's based off Matthew McConaughey, which I thought was just funny. There's this. These are like little mechanic helpers. They're like little bat creatures. And by the way, because you know these look pretty cartoony. This publishing initiative, it's going to cross a bunch of different, what would you call it, mediums, I guess, because it's going to have like adult novels, and then it's also going to have like young adult novels, and then it's also going to have like little like children's books, and they're all taking place in the same time period. They're all interconnected. So it's a really interesting idea of like it's truly like, you know, as a fan, if you wanted to literally read everything that happened in the High Republic thing, you're literally gonna have to go out and buy some children's books, you know, like really children's books, you know. So it's kind of funny, but you know, so if you see some of this concept art that looks a little more silly, it's like, well, it's probably for the children's book, you know, or one of the children's comics, you know. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, they introduced some new characters. They talked about like what inspired them. Star Wars Insider, the magazine's going to start actually publishing some of those like little stories that they used to do back in the day. So that's pretty cool. Cavan Scott's going to have a graphic novel. So not a comic run, a graphic novel. So that's pretty cool. It's called The Monster of Temple Peak. Also, I like this lightsaber they have there. It's like it's all spiked at the hilt. That's pretty cool. And a strange rabbit looking guy. All right. Also, there is a young adult novel called Out of the Shadows by Justina Ireland. You know, and it's the cool thing about this is that a lot of these characters are going to be like crossing over into different books. So I believe, let me see, Renista, Padawan, Wraith, Silas, Avon Star. You know, I have not memorized everyone's name, so I'm trying to like see if I recognize one of these names in the book. But this character here, I believe we're going to see later, is also on the cover of a children's book. So it's, you know, it's kind of cool that you'll see these characters like just show up. And you know, I always have problems with character names when it's just reading. You know, there's no like visual component to it, so I always have trouble with like remembering whose name was what. So I might have a difficulty like, oh, that's right, that was that same character from that one comic. But let's see. So there's it's a second middle grade novel. So you see what I'm saying? So like this is obviously much more of a children's novel, and that's a young adult novel. You know, so that's kind of the interesting thing about this, is that like if you literally wanted everything in the High Republic, you're gonna have to go out and buy, like, go to like the Scholastic book fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's kind of funny actually. And then again, another type of medium, you know, like it's this one's gonna be a manga from Viz Media. So it's gonna be like in the style of a manga. So you know, like, you know how in manga you read them backwards, you go the other way when you read them, or at least they used to do that. I don't know if they still do that. Do they still do that? They did back when I was reading manga. You have to read them backwards, the other way, instead of the way you would normally read a comic. Left to right, you read it right to left. I don't know if they have changed that since, but anyways, so that's a pretty cool thing. You know, again, they, you know, more Japanese style looking hilts, some sword looking hilts. That's pretty cool looking. So you know, that's really the cool thing about this, is not just that it's all connected with each other, but that like they're really mixing it up. It's not just here's adult novels and then here's like, you know, adult level comics. It's like, no, here's something for young adults, here's something for children, here's something, you know, like they're just putting it everywhere. And they're really pushing it, and that's super cool, I think. Let's see, there's also going to become a brand new bi-monthly show. Looks like it's just a behind the scenes thing, just kind of talk about everything that happens. And then finally, what we found out is that the High Republic is actually going to be a 3-phase thing. They're calling them phases, just like the MCU, I guess. So the first phase is called Light of the Jedi, phase 2 is called Quest of the Jedi, and phase 3 is called Trials of the Jedi. They did mention that phase 1 ends in 2022, so it's not exactly like a yearly thing means a phase. It seems like a little bit, maybe, so they might be a year and a half, maybe 2 years long each. But that's pretty cool. And what that tells you, and you know, obviously if you haven't, you know, you can kind of tell based on how interactive everything is and how interconnected, like this comic and this book and this over there, how it's all connected to each other and sharing characters. But seeing these phases really tells me that, like, okay, they have this mapped out. Like they, you know, they talked about how, like, oh, we've been doing this since like 2014 or something, and it shows. That's the great thing about this, is that it definitely shows that they've been planning this, and they've done the road work to this big rollout for the next several years, and that's really cool. That's exciting. Now, I think there's another part of this discussion we have to have. Look, no surprise, there's a lot of fans out there who they're not so much into the reading side of things. They want to watch the movies, they want to watch the shows. But as far as like reading full novels, that's a big ask for a lot of people, and I get it. Like, no judgment, I fully understand that, okay? Like, I have to make an effort to read these novels because, you know, I there's a lot of things I want to do with my free time, so I read maybe 1 or 2 chapters every other day, which means it takes me weeks to finally finish a book, whereas other people, it'll take them like a day to finish a book. So, you know, obviously there's different levels to all this. So if you're out there and you're like, oh, I hate that the High Republic is only books and only like comics, which I don't care about, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna read it all, and I'm gonna read all the comics. I probably won't read the small children's books, but you know, I'll read the novels and I'll read the comics. But if you're out there and you're disappointed because you wanted to be part of this, you wanted to be experiencing this with some of the rest of the fandom who's getting excited about it, I get it. Like, I feel you, no judgment. Maybe try audiobooks. If you're not like a big book reader, maybe audiobooks would be like, hey, you can work out, you can drive while you're listening to an audiobook. It might work out better for you, you know? So that's always an option, I think. Now, something else that I want to talk about, so this is everything that they showed today. Something else I want to talk about. So this was, you know, back on the 15th. This was everything before today's announcement. This was everything that was going to be shown. And there, see, yeah, that's what it was. See, this is I don't know if this is like a children's novel or what, but see, like, that's the same character that we saw over there. Let's go back. Yeah, right there. See, so that's pretty cool. You see, you have a Justina Ireland connection there. The same author is bringing the character, but in clearly 2 different style of books. You know, like, this one has a much more serious looking tone to it than this one, which is much more, you know, kiddie, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, there is one other thing that I want to bring up, which I thought was really, really cool. So if you have seen my last video where there was that report that Charles Soule kind of let it slip that the same exact space station that's going to be seen in this Claudia Gray novel, Into the Dark, is the same one that Snoke later on lives in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book, and how, like, hey, maybe there's something, kind of a neat connection there. You know, I kind of went like way off way off the reservation with like my theories of what they could do, but nonetheless, I'm expecting some kind of small tiny little Easter egg of like, oh, that's pretty cool, because it does, you know, again, they're going to be abandoned on this space station, and it's that same one, so that's pretty cool. There is a quote that Claudia Gray said during the stream, and I literally like rewound it like 3 times to make sure I heard it right, because she seemed to very much confirm that, like, yeah, there's a connection here. Because here's exactly what she says. She says, as it turns out, some of the things that they're going to discover on this station will have repercussions for a very long time to come. Period. That's her quote. And that, like, come on. there's something's going on there. I'm gonna go reread that one issue where he's on the space station. I need to like look for background clues and kind of see what's going on there, because I mean, you never know, like some crazy Snoke looking stuff could happen on this space station. So I'm very curious about that. That one comes out on February 2nd, so that's pretty cool. And then there's the mainline comic, you know, and all this stuff that we've kind of seen before. Here's the High Republic Adventures, which is always much more of like a children's oriented comic. So yeah, pretty cool. It's all starting tomorrow with Light of the Jedi. Yeah, January 5th. Look at that. Yeah, I'm really excited. I have literally a full shelf of unread books that I've gotten, both Legends and canon books, that I can only read one book at a time. So like I said, it takes me like weeks to actually finish a book, but this comes out tomorrow, and I'm gonna buy it. That's gonna be the next book I read. So it's just gonna add on to the pile of like, all right, it's just gonna take you longer to finish these books. But hey, what can I do? I'm excited. I want to read it. And I've heard a lot of great things. Some other YouTubers have gotten hands on this book, and some others, they've done little reviews, and this one has gotten great reviews. I think Star Wars Explained has said that it's the best Star Wars book he's ever read, or something like that. So, I mean, that's a lot of hype. That's some pretty big praise. So, we'll see. I'm very excited. Anyways, let me know how you guys feel. Are you excited about the High Republic at all? Or are you just waiting for, I don't know, the Bad Batch or the Book of Boba Fett to come out? In any case, I think this is pretty cool. And I'm definitely suspecting that there's going to be some kind of, at least a hint of like what was Snoke doing there. There's some reason Snoke was there. I don't know. Anyways, maybe I need to let that go. But it to me, it's obvious that something's happening. Anyways, I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.